Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is so much fun. I explicitly wanted to find the color Periwinkle in my eyeshadow palette collection. So this video starts off with swatching a whole bunch of different colors, trying to find a true Periwinkle in matte and shimmer. I also wanted to do a cool tone look because a subscriber requested that I do more cool toned things, and I promised that I would get one in before the end of the year. And this is the first time that I'm trying an actual water activated liner palette. So I did these fun details, which definitely don't match and is perfectly okay. Lots of fun. If you want to see any of that, then don't go anywhere. I have a pile of palettes here, a whole bunch of palettes. I specifically want to find Periwinkle, but when I was just kind of quickly going through my collection, seeing if I had anything that was truly Periwinkle, I don't know that I have any, maybe one. So I think I might have to end up leading this video more towards lavender, at least as far as the mattes go. I know that I have a couple of shimmers that are definitely, at least from what I remember, more periwinkle-ish. I'm not sure. Now the difference, of course, between periwinkle and lavender is that lavender is a very light purple, whereas periwinkle is a very light purple blue. There's definitely an element of blue in a periwinkle, and that's what I want. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it, so I've decided to allow myself the freedom to go towards lavender if I just can't find any periwinkles. So there are actually kind of a lot of palettes that I'm going to be swatching here today, and I'm going to go through them quickly because I, as usual, don't have tons of time. My baby is napping and my other two children are keeping themselves busy. So let's dive in. There are a few palettes that I thought ought to have a periwinkle, or I might look at them like the theme of the palette and expect there to be a periwinkle matte. Garden of Juvia's is one such, but no, there's no periwinkle. In fact, there's not even a true lavender in here. This is the lightest purple. It's called Lilac You. It's okay. It's just kind of dark. It's not as light as I want, so I'm not even going to bother swatching that because I know it's not what I want. Blueberry Muffin from BH Cosmetics is another such palette. This one has this here Cheat Day, which is not as light as I want either, but you can see the difference between Cheat Day and Delish. Delish is a true blue. Cheat Day has some purple in it, so I'll swatch Cheat Day. Okay, so I would consider that to be a true periwinkle. All right, it's still darker than I want, but it's a good start. I thought Serenity from Cosmic Brushes Cosmic Beauty might have one. Yes. From what this is what I remember. This is the shade Awake. This is even more purple leaning, but still quite blue. That's the second swatch there. That's lighter. That's more along the lines of what I was thinking. And honestly, I have a specific look in mind, and that is the shade that I was expecting would be the one that I use, but I wanted to look around and see what else I could do. So that's a hot contender. We all know there's a lovely purple matte in the ABH Nouveau palette. It's called Wisteria, but it's definitely not as blue. It's a true purple. So here's more along the lines of a lilac or lavender shade. Still pretty, but too purple. I want something more blue purple. You can see that I'm swatching mattes first. Here I have the Michaela palette from Glamlight. No, it's too dark. It's too dark. I pulled Surge from Blend Bunny because Surge has interesting undertones. I thought there might be something in here. There's this one up here, which is definitely more lilac. I think lilac is more like a light purple with pink. Correct me if I'm wrong as far as definitions. This one's just got, it's definitely a purple pink, and I don't want any pink. I want this to be cool toned purple blue. And then the last matte that I thought to swatch, the last matte that I thought to swatch was from the Ace Beauté Aura palette. This one up here, I think it's just too purple. It's a nice lavender again, a nice lavender shade. It's too purple though. It's not blue enough. So far we have Blueberry and Serenity. Again, Serenity is the one I was expecting. Now as far as shimmers, I've got the Nomad Monteverde Cloud Forest palette. This shimmer right here is called River Trail, and from what you guys can see, you're probably seeing blue purple. That's what I see as well. Oh yes, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful blue purple shimmer. Very light, very sparkly, very pretty. In comparison, we have the Nomad Whistler Snow Lodge palette. This shade is called Ski Bum, which is similar. I think it again is a blue purple, but this one also has the addition of pink shimmer. See, that one's a lot more blue. Now the question is, which one's more periwinkle? Do you see the pink shift in the Whistler swatch? They're both good. They're both good. What else do I have? I picked up Quintessence from Sydney Grace. There's one in here called Aurora, which I think is just too deep. It's definitely a blue-purple shimmer, but Periwinkle is by nature very, very light, like a pastel, and this is very pretty, but I think it's going to be too deep. Oh, it's so lovely, but it's definitely too purple and too dark. So that one is a no, although it's lovely. And of course, my ever favorite Talk palette from Udenzai. The shade that I want to swatch here is called Sea Spray. Again, a blue purple shifty shimmery shade, but what direction does it lean? Okay, it leans more soft lavender with blue in it. Very pretty. Again, very, very sparkly. A beautiful creamy formula. I love that palette. But is it too purple? It might be too lavender, you know? Do you see? I hope you're seeing what I'm looking for. I want a light blue purple color. Not too blue, not too purple, no pink at all. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this matte from Serenity and then this shimmer from Monteverde. And possibly this shimmer as well from Whistler. Those are the three that I'm thinking of. Isn't this a beautiful color story overall? The whole arm swatch. Is there anything else? No, that's all. That's all that I pulled for the swatches. Honestly, I really, really wanted to see how periwinkle I could get, and I think I have enough to make an eye look. Some of these are certainly more lavender, and if I were going for lavender, then I might have pulled some other palettes that I knew had lighter purples. But I think this is a pretty good representation of what I have along those lines. So I want to stick with periwinkle. I want to do a periwinkle into a white matte sort of thing. I've got the coconut shade from Tropicolor up here. I'll swatch it for you just because it's amazing. This is the Sydney Grace. You probably can't see. It's the Sydney Grace collab with Tina from the Fancy Face. But anyway, I want to do white on the lid into the periwinkle. And then I think I'm going to try to deepen it a bit. And always keeping it cool toned. I will prime my eyes using the Glamlight Icing Primer. Everything I'm using is linked down below in the description box. I'm not going to link all the palettes I tried. I will just link the palettes that I end up using. And there's other information down there as well. So let's zoom in and get going with this video, which is called Awake in the Serenity palette. And I'm just going to whip this through my entire crease area. It's light enough that I can bring it all the way to the bridge of my nose. And it's not concerning me that it's, you know, too dark. It's a beautiful color. Now within the Serenity palette, there are lots of different colors I could grab to bring depth, but before I do that, I want to bring in a next, like a slightly deeper layer, but not all the way to like black. So I'm picking up Cheat Day from BH Blueberry Muffin. And I'm going to put this in my outer half here. This is the one that's a little bit darker and a little bit more purple-ish, but still quite blue. It's like a, I don't know, it's like a periwinkle, but darker. So it's more like a true blurple matte. I guess periwinkle would be defined as a very pastel blurple. And we all know that blurple is the most attractive word ever. I really want the periwinkle shade to be prominent. So I'm just kind of filling in this whole space. I'm going to deepen a little bit, but not a ton, she said. Although we'll see if that actually works out. I'm going to use Serenity to deepen. I'm going to get a much, much smaller blending brush, but still pretty loose. I don't want it to be highly concentrated. And what I'm going to do is grab the black. The shadow is called Mystical. I'm going in extremely lightly because I'm blending this into basically pastels. I can always add more, but I don't want to dive in with like coal and have it get out of control instantly. So I can always grab more if I want to, but I just want to bring a little bit of depth, a little bit more depth rather, to this outer area. I'm putting this in a smaller section than I did the second shade, just deepening a smaller triangle out here. And now back into the original periwinkle shade called Awake, buffing and softly, gently blending. You'll notice that I'm holding my brush way down here at the end of it. What that does is it gives you a lighter hand, lighter pressure. If I were to choke up on the brush and hold it up here, it would put too much pressure in that one spot and also condense it into a much more concentrated area. So holding it out here gives you a lot of freedom and movement in your entire arm to blend out gently. All right, that's lovely. I don't want to blend too much because it's going to get this brush tinged with black, and then that's going to make it darker over here. So just leaving it as is. And now it's time to lay down the white. The white is called Coconut from the Tropicolor palette with Sydney Grace. I could cut my crease here if I wanted to, and that would give a more significant and tacky base for this shadow. But this is a very good bone matte. Of course, it's getting a bit of a tinge to it, right? Because I'm putting it on top of these other shades, but that's all right. Totally okay. I just wanted it to have nice contrast. Of course, that's a great inner corner highlight. I'm gonna wipe off the brush and just buff the edges here a smidge so that it's not quite so stark. And then what I'm gonna do is pick up some shimmers. I think the best shimmer for my prompt today is actually the River Trail from Nomad. So I'm picking that up on my finger, and I'm gonna lay that down in the center of my lid and it's pretty. And decide from here where I wanna go. Do I want to keep this part more matte? Do I want to lay down a different shimmer? I still haven't done anything on the lower lash line, so I've got that as an option as far as territory for colored powder. All right, so I'm putting this in the middle and then angling it just a little bit here, but this whole space here is still a white matte, and I'm gonna leave it like that. I do want the contrast, I do want the texture differences, but I just need to deal with this right out here. So I'm going back into the small brush that I used for the black. I do not have additional product on here. I did not go back into the shade, any of the shades. I'm just tapping whatever is on the brush over this space where the shimmer overlapped the matte. So is that reading Periwinkle? I think it is. I do feel that some of the Periwinkle tone has gotten lost behind the white, but bringing it onto the lower lash line will help a lot with that because it will sort of complete the circuit. So I'm taking Awake from the Serenity palette again. Of course, the white is a perfect inner corner highlight, so I'm just going to leave that there and not try to overpower it with the Awake shade. I'll dip a little bit into the black, just a tiny, tiny bit for this lower outer corner and to help that line meet the depth of the upper area. And finally, with quite a small blending brush, I'm going to go into the Whistler Snow Lodge. Shade is called Ski Bum. I'm going to load this and then spray it. This was the other of the two shimmers that I thought was best for today's prompt. So I'm going to lay this on my lower lash line in the inner area here. I'm not going to use it as an inner corner highlight. I'm going to keep that skin space like right here. That's going to stay matte, the matte white, but I want to bring this all the way up to it. And it's just so pretty. I'll pull it along a little bit too. This is much more blue than the one that I used up here. It's so pretty though, and it brightens this area in a pretty way. I'm feeling brave, guys. I told you a few times, I think, that I had bought a cake liner palette. This is the Split It Painter's Paradise palette from Artitude Cosmetics. It's linked down below as well. It is untouched. It arrived to my house yesterday, and this is what it looks like. I saw this palette featured on Carrie Kay's channel, and she's done some really beautiful features with it, like graphic liner, little details and stuff. I'm not really interested in the concept of graphic liner as like its own thing, but I like the idea of using it, little details or embellishments, or, and this is something I've wanted to do several times, getting a colored winged eyeliner. So should I use one of these today? I've never used it before. It's untouched. I haven't even gotten it wet yet. It's water activated. You just spray it with water and then mix it up to the consistency that you want and use it. I'm kind of scared though. I shouldn't be scared. Honestly, I've been wanting this for a year. I was waiting for a Black Friday sale because shipping from Artitude was so expensive. It was almost the cost of the palette, so I had to wait for a really good sale. I think I'm gonna try. These two colors mixed together would give me Periwinkle. I'm scared. Okay, what I did was I did a black winged eyeliner for 3 reasons. I like the contrast of black against pastel. I'm more comfortable using my tool for black eyeliner, and I thought it would be fun to do a black eyeliner with little colored embellishments. So I have a very small paintbrush that I got from the craft store and a little dropper that I got from my own art supplies because I have a small art business. I put a little bit of water in the purple liner, and now I have a loaded paintbrush and no plan. What should I do? So that's looking clumsy, but I don't dislike it. I'm going to take some of this water and now go into the white. I chose a color that honestly was not super contrasting to what I already have, so I'm going to dip into the white and brighten it up a bit. All right, I could actually get into this. This liner palette was quite the investment for me. I knew that I'd wanted to do it for about a year, like to buy that palette. I did all kinds of research looking at different brands and reviews, and do I want individual little pots? Do I want a palette? If I get a palette, which brands offer good palettes with good color options? So I had settled my mind on this Artitude Cosmetics palette ages ago, but just by itself, the palette was, I think, $36. You could get a bundle with brushes, and that was maybe almost $50 once we convert to US dollars. And then shipping was $21. So it was a lot. I mean, it was a lot for me. I had to wait almost a year, but I finally got it, and I think this is going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun. So I'm going to go off camera and do the other side. I probably won't be able to make the liners match, but you will see that in a second, and I'll be right back. So here we have it. Everything is done. The other side is matching. Let me tell you what I did to finish off the eye look, and then I'll get into a few thoughts. In my waterline, I used white. I thought that seemed only appropriate. On my lips, I'm wearing a ColourPop glowing lip in the shade Tickled Pink, topped with their lip oil in the color Hay. And then on my face, I just have some concealer and powder and this Nomad Kofa Ngan Moonlight highlighter, which is basically a periwinkle. It is a blue, purple, iridescent highlighter. It's so beautiful. It's very, very much like the Whistler Snow Lodge Ski Bum shade in a highlighter format. So it's not quite as sparkly. It's just a slightly different, like a highlighter formula. It's an absolutely stunning color. And that is everything. That's everything. Let me tell you some thoughts. I really like it. I really, really like it. I'm glad that I decided to go with the black winged eyeliner because that felt more safe for me, honestly, especially with a brand new tool like a paintbrush and, a liquid application. Now, I do watercolor painting, so the concept of a water activated liner is right up my alley. I'm very comfortable taking something like a solid paint, adding water, working it together until I have the consistency that I want for whatever I'm painting. So I wanted water activated for that specific reason. This side is definitely messier than this side. My line over here is much more messy. I used too much water, so it bled a little bit. It's a little thicker, a little bit more chunky, and I'm sure that there's not symmetry as far as the angles, the length, and also the little stars. But it's okay. It really doesn't matter. This is so fun, and I'm very excited that I finally have this palette in my possession. Like I said, I waited all year for it, and I'm just really excited to have this many colors. This is a great option, and it dried extremely quickly. It was very easy to work with. This is linked down below, again, in the description box. I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear what you think about my very cool toned eye look and the addition of the graphic details. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do consider liking and subscribing if you enjoy the content and you want to see more. I do upload several videos every week. Be sure to check my description box for lots of information, palettes that I used, common questions, playlist suggestions. Everything I've used is linked as well. There's a lot of information down there. I appreciate your time so much. Thank you for coming to my channel and giving me a small piece of your day. I hope you've enjoyed my video. I hope you'll consider coming back for more, and I will see you in my next one.